Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Premiership Podcast. We are your hosts, Jacob.
And Elijah.
Do you smell that in the air, Elijah? Do you smell that?
It's a bit of finals going on.
It's a bit of finals action. We are heading
So
into
cringe.
the finals.
It's so great.
It's finals. Woo! And whoa, we have made it through a grueling preseason. We've made it through 24 home and away games and a week off. And we are left with 8 teams fighting it out for Premiership glory.
Yes, sir. Finals start back, I guess, the 7th. Right? That's just tomorrow as we're recording. This recording's on the Wednesday. Thursday night, we'll hit it off with the Pies and the D's, MCG. Then we'll have Friday night, Lions hosting the
No,
Carlton
Sydney.
MCG hosting Sydney. And Saturday, Arvo, Saints MCG hosting the Giants. And then Saturday night, Lions hosting the Power. So,
very exciting.
Exciting stuff. And, I mean, probably the most important game to shape out, contenders, Premiership favourites or whatever. First game of the finals, probably.
100%.
Yeah.
It's exciting times. Now, Elijah and I have come up with our predictions, our roadmap for the finals. And we have come to a bit of controversy as we both have our own different views, which is completely okay because we live in 2023 and different views are completely okay.
You make this sound way worse than it actually is.
No, but we're heading into the finals, and I guess we'll start off with your roadmap, Elijah.
Mine, okay.
Yours is quite scrumptibly unctuous.
Well, I'm calling the segment bracketeering because that's what we're doing. We're looking at the brackets. Let me just enlarge this for you viewers while we talk about it. So, week 1 of... That is not the right one. Week 1 of finals.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, well, it's just grabbing your one, so I'm grabbing my one. There we go. For all you lovely viewers out there.
Let's hide our heads.
Yeah. You can pick under there.
Okay.
Right. So, little bit scuffed, but
yeah, there we are. There we are.
All right.
There we are.
Well, I'm going to move the other one to the same spot. So, I have the D's beating the Pies on the first game. I was in the D's form recently. It's been really good. MCG, they beat him last time. I mean, yes, yeah, just great form considering Collingwood. I'm not as confident on. The ACOS will still be out. How, I guess, Melbourne have a few injuries. How they can recover from that. I don't know if Fritsch is in.
Fritsch is in.
Fritsch is in? Okay. Actually, does not have the teams. I'm guessing they're coming out later tonight.
Teams. But Collingwood have a lot of injuries with one of my favourite players, Ash Johnson, having a hairline fracture on his arm.
Yeah.
So he's out until prelims.
So a lot of injuries, whatnot, for Collingwood. And I think Melbourne, right, they probably have the advantage. More finals experience. I know Collingwood likes those bigger crowds, and they've played really well with them. But I just think Melbourne, for that game, they'll advance to the prelims, moving down kind of quickly. The Blues, I think, will get it over the Swans. We'll talk about these later in the actual predictions. These games, so I'll just do them nice and quick. But Blues are home. They're going well. I don't know much more I can say. Kerno's been on a roll. Cripps is alright. They're getting things together. First finals campaign. And Swans have the experience, sure. But I reckon Blues are home. Get crowd behind them. I reckon they'll do something special. Especially after losing to the Giants last week. Well, end of the home and away season. We then got the Saints over the Giants for similar reason. I think Sydney's kind of slipped on at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going smoothly. And then Lions are home to round out the first week of finals over Port Adelaide. Home ground advantage. You can't go against that. Especially when they're undefeated all season there. Into the semi-finals, right? Pies Blues. That's gonna be a banger if that happens. Probably only chance they'll have besides the grand final too. So this one's banger alert. But I have Carlton coming out the other side of that one. Once again, Collingwood injuries. Zakos probably not back yet. It's rough. But I reckon Blues get behind that. Port Adelaide, St Kilda. Port Adelaide at home. Similar stories of Brisbane at home, right? Kind of a fortress down there. So we have Carlton and Port Adelaide going down to the second last week of September. D's Port got the D's at home. Port Adelaide travels okay, but not as well as the Melbourne teams, right? Especially because it's in Melbourne. And then this might be the most controversial one yet, but I've got the Lions losing at home to Carlton. I think the Carlton fairy tale's not over yet, and I think they've got plenty more to prove. And this is just one of those games, which leads Melbourne smashing Carlton in the grand final by 60 points.
So we don't have a good grand final.
No. We're never going to have a good grand final, Jacob. Look at the last 4 teams I have there. The only circumstance that is a good grand final is if it is Brisbane and Port Adelaide, because it is a neutral home ground. No one's home ground. It's neutral.
Or if it's Collingwood Carlton grand final.
That could be as potential to be a good grand final. But Collingwood's will probably run away with it, I reckon, if it's a granny. But Melbourne can't just blow all of them at the park out in Melbourne. So
the finals experience is very understandable as well. Melbourne have the far more superior finals experience compared to the rest of the teams in there, besides Brisbane.
Oh, and Sydney, I guess. Sydney.
Yeah.
I saw something today. It was Luke Parker.
And Port Adelaide.
Yes. It was like the 3 Swans players had
48 finals.
Yeah, 48 finals played versus the entire Carlton list, which was 30.
30.
So there's that. That's where we're up to.
We'll have to see what happens. We'll go to mine.
Yeah.
Mine's
a bit different.
A lot different. I've got Collingwood beating the D's. I feel like Collingwood have a lot to prove. The forecast says it's going to rain, which creates a whole different element of surprise. I just feel like Collingwood will just burst out of the races there and win by 10 to 20 points in that game. I've got Sydney over the Blues. Sydney, due to the fact that one, they have finals experience, and I feel like they've got something to prove compared to Carlton, who have come in sort of fresh. And I feel like finals, I don't feel like I know that finals is a completely different season compared to the home and away season. If you're not on the ball in the first second of the game, first minute, first quarter, one quarter can run away from you. Yeah, you could come back like a regular home and away season, as we saw with Fremantle last year in the elimination final. But I've got a feeling Sydney are going to win this game, and Carlton, due to finals experience, will take under the pressure and lose by 20-odd points. I've got the Giants over the Saints. Giants have the superior finals experience over the Saints. I felt they're going in with a bit of momentum, like St Kilda, but I feel as though if you can't stop Toby Green, you can't stop GWS. If they stop Toby Green, you stop GWS. And whether or not Callum Wilkie will play on Toby Green or Jesse Hogan is the real question to be had. So whether it's Jack Sinclair or Wanganeen Miller, who knows who will play on Toby Green. But and I've got the Lions for obvious reasons beating the Power. No one's beating Brisbane at home unless they cause a bit of choking hazard, like they've done in the past couple of seasons. Going into the semis, I've got Melbourne over Sydney. Melbourne, obviously at the MCG they play really well, and they'll have the crowd behind their backs. And I feel like Sydney will run out of steam. They lost the last 2 games of the season as well, so that's something else that I forgot to mention in the elimination there. But Melbourne will destroy Sydney here. Port Adelaide will beat GWS. GWS will put up a bit more of a fight, I feel, compared to St Kilda at Adelaide Oval. But Port Adelaide easily run away with the chocolates here. Collingwood at home against Port Adelaide in a preliminary final. I think this will be on the Friday night. Collingwood at home with the crowd, 90 plus thousand members, spectators, and a couple 100,000 viewers on TV will probably be begging for Port Adelaide to win, but I've got a feeling Collingwood will rectify the mistakes of last year against the Swans, and Brisbane will beat Melbourne, finally making their grand final appearance against the Pies. Brisbane at the Gabba. Let's just hope the lights don't turn off this time, Elijah, because last time Brisbane played Melbourne there, the lights turned off, and Melbourne went on a roll.
Yeah.
So if there's a light malfunction, then Brisbane better watch out. And I've got the Pies winning the premiership. I've been a big fan of Collingwood this year. I know you, Elijah, you're thinking they're going to go in straight sets, and I've got a lot of mates who think they're going to go in straight sets. And to that, I say no. Hold on, they're on top of the ladder for a reason. They've been top 2 best sides, best side in the comp for most of the season, and I don't see why they can't win the premiership.
Yeah, but are they top because of what they did earlier in the season, not towards the end? They almost lost at the end. Right.
But they're still on top.
That's discredit. That's it. I feel like it's just discrediting a lot. Like that's basically saying. That's basically just saying that their current form doesn't matter. They're there for a reason, but they're not. They're nearly
current form is one thing, but finals is a completely whole different story.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. Collingwood could just come out and smash Melbourne in that first final. Carlton can just choke and kick 2 goals in a half. Anything could happen. Carlton could make the premiership and win it. Who knows? But like I said, these are predictions, roadworks, as to what we feel the finals will look like.
Yeah. Well, I still think the 3 strongest sides in the comp, which are the only real chances of winning the flag, Melbourne, Carlton, and Brisbane, in no particular order. But Melbourne, Carlton, and Brisbane, they're the only real teams I see winning it. I don't have Collingwood in that picture because currently their form, the injuries, whatever, it's not happening. They will probably definitely play Melbourne, but if they lose to Melbourne, they'll play probably both Carlton and or Brisbane. So I mean they have to prove themselves for me to consider them flag favourites at the moment. So might have me to Melbourne for Jakob, it's Collingwood. But
so for example, Collingwood beat Melbourne and make the prelim. What would you say then?
If they smash them, then I've gone okay. That's still one game, right? They'll probably end up making the grinding anyway at that point because of the strength of the lower half of the
Mm,
bracket, but I don't know. If it's
fair enough.
close, then it's okay. If it's just one
Mm,
game, is what it is. They'll probably make the granny anyway. But
mm,
I think the winner of that game pretty much decides it almost. Because I mean, can Melbourne fight off Sydney? I mean, they did in Sydney,
mm,
but can they fight off an on roll Carlton? Who knows?
mm,
Assuming they get past that game, can they beat Brisbane in Brisbane? Who knows? Can they beat Adelaide, Port Adelaide in Adelaide? Who knows?
mm.
And I
We'll
guess
have to wait and see.
yeah, and I could say the same thing that Collingwood too if they go down that way. So it's
Mm,
in this game on Thursday night is going to decide basically who makes it,
mm.
who doesn't.
We'll have to just wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just to
Mm,
avoid it, yes. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, we can speculate.
On to speculations. Let's discuss the games at hand this weekend in both the qualifying and elimination finals. Starting off with Collingwood and Melbourne. Collingwood obviously finishing on top and Melbourne finishing fourth. Arguably, Melbourne in much better form than Collingwood at the moment
Mm-hmm.
due to how they ended the season. Who are your dangerous players to look out for? One from each team to look out for.
I want to put a little marker on Stephen May for
Mm-hmm.
the D's. Um, Great in the air. He's been a great defender, I guess, his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to make sure these Collingwood forwards don't get the ball as much. You're going to see a lot of rebounding off the back half for
Mm-hmm.
Melbourne, a lot of controlled football, and he's kind of the general back there who can lead that
Mm-hmm.
in that direction. So I want to put a stamp on him as the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for Collingwood, um, I was about to say someone else, but I need to think carefully at this one. Okay. We'll see Scott Pendlebury. Alright, so
Scott Pendlebury.
Pendlebury. Yeah. So through the middle, I know Melbourne have Oliver and Petraka. Alright, they'll be
Mm-hmm.
instrumental players, no doubt. But keeping an eye out for the leading disposal leader in the league history, VFL and
Mm-hmm.
AFL, Scott Pendlebury. He's gonna rack up possessions. He's gonna move the ball as he always does, very efficiently. And I want to see how Melbourne kind of responds to that because they didn't respond well to the tag from Hawthorn.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they do something about Pendlebury or not, I don't know. But that ball movement through the middle of the ground that's the way Collingwood wants to move the ball, and he's one of the main guys, or I guess the more dangerous guys, to have the ball in his hands to get scores and I guess scoring shots at least
Mm-hmm.
from. So set up through Pendlebury. So Stephen May, Scott Pendlebury, they're kind of my two players.
And he's got the basketball background.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
My two players to look out for in this game, I'm going to start with Collingwood, and it's Jordan De Goey. Jordan De Goey can destroy this game in an instant, and it's time for him to live up to his expectations, I feel. And this game will prove whether or not he's up for the big stage or not. If he can get back to 2018 De Goey in the grand final, then yes. But if he is very quiet, then Collingwood won't do that much.
Watch out for his Snapchat too. No? No? Okay. Oh, never mind then. Keep going.
Jesus. And for the D's, I've got Bailey Fritsch. Bailey Fritsch usually has a very good. He has a very good history with the Magpies. He usually kicks a bag of 4 or 5. So if Collingwood can nullify his effect on the game, then there's a better chance of Collingwood winning. But if Bailey Fritsch gets on a roll, which he has done in the past against the Pies, because he just seems to just sneak around the Pies' defence, then Melbourne will be very hard to defeat in this game. It'll be a low-scoring affair. No, not a low-scoring affair. It'll be a close affair. It'll be
Still low scoring. I'd be surprised to see anything above 80.
It'll still be a very, very good game because of the weather as well. And I'd like to put a bit of honourable mention to two players, Darcy Cameron against Max Gawn. Darcy Cameron needs to do a lot to nullify Max Gawn's influence on the game, and Cozzy Pickett. If it's a rainy day, you're expecting your small forwards to do a fantastic job, and Cozzy Pickett is the player to look out for as well, in my opinion.
Well, I guess further on from that, I'd guess I'd put a mark on Clayton Oliver as well.
Mm,
You know, the ball
agreed.
gets the ruck is going to be tough to get true value from. It always has been as a role, but it's the clearances. It's just what wins you the ball initially. It kind of rolls on from there, puns intended. So, I guess, yeah, for me there, Clayton Oliver, it's really important for him to get the ball from the clearance and get it out as fast as humanly possible, which he does very efficiently when he's not tagged. So, that's another point I'd like to make from that.
On to the Carlton game.
Carlton Sydney game. Yeah.
Yep. Carlton obviously on a bit of a roll. Obviously losing their last home and away game, which doesn't really affect much for them. Carlton, after losing 6 to 7 games in a row, they got on a winning streak of about 9 or 10, and made the finals, impressing and shocking everyone. We were expecting them to be in the bottom 4 after what they went through in the middle of the season, and this switch just flicked on, and they are making their finals berth, their first finals berth since 2013. And obviously Sydney, not very lucky to be in the finals, actually, due to the fact that they probably should have lost their last 2 games. They lost their last game, but arguably should have lost against the Crows. They don't really have the momentum going into this game, but they have the finals experience, as I said earlier in the episode. And they're really looking to get some form of vengeance against what they put up last year against the Cats.
Yeah.
And I'll start off with my dangerous players. My dangerous player for the Swans is going to be, I'm going to say, Isaac Heaney.
Interesting.
Isaac Heaney, whether or not he plays midfield or forward, we'll have to wait and see. But it's really like Jordan De Goey. It's time for him to really get some form in September, and he's played in a couple grand finals now. He should know what it's like to play in a final, especially at the MCG. And with no Lance Franklin, he's going to carry a lot of weight around in that forward line, and going into the midfield, whether he does or doesn't, we'll have to wait and see. But it's time for him to step up. And for Carlton, I'm going to say Harry Mackay. We've made a lot of fun of Harry Mackay this season. He's returned back from injury, and let's see what he's made of. I'm interested to see how he goes in finals pressure, because I think Charlie Curnow will destroy this game, win or loss. How will Harry Mackay deal with being the second tall forward instead of maybe being the first prime tall forward now? Because I feel like he was being played as that first tall forward, and now he's sort of gone down to that second tall forward. Will he keep snapping, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he might still.
he can still mark. Bloody oath he can. But I'm interested to see what he can produce.
Just as long as he kicks a drop punt, he's fine. But if it goes across his
Mm-hmm.
body, who knows?
As we saw with his on-field kicking against the Hawks when we went.
Yeah, exactly. I want to keep giving the defenders some love. I want to
Mm-hmm.
highlight for Carlton, Nick Newman. I think it's Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sorry. Nick Newman. He's been great back there. We have other good defenders there too. Wiedering, Doherty, whatnot. But Newman's kind of a newer base in terms of playing really good football. Been in great form, even in the loss to the Giants. It just depends how he rocks up. Who does he play on? I'd expect he'd probably play on Mackay, honestly. Him or Kerno, right? But he's playing good football, and I just want to highlight him as a player to look out for when the ball goes down there. The second one for Sydney, Errol Goulden. How many disposals can this man get? He's averaging 27 a game this season. 27 touches, at about 64.5% efficiency. So how
do Carlton nullify his run?
Why? Well, you have a good midfield with Carlton, right? I think Walsh is in. If I'm not mistaken. Got Cripps in there. And Voss is
Chera.
Voss is the coach. He'll know how to sort of the midfield. But I don't think they'll have a problem, Carlton, with getting through the midfield. Even though the City's midfield is pretty strong. I'm just very interested to see how many touches this man can get, because oh boy, he gets touches, like a magnet, right?
It's because of his run. His effort to move up and down the ground is insane.
Exactly. Some might call him a ball magnet.
Call him a rampaging bull. If he sees red, which is the ball, he won't be stopped.
His jersey's also red, so anyway.
What?
Just that one.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this game pans out, because I'm not even sure myself whether or not it's going to be a close or blowout game.
Yeah, it can blow out either way too.
Either way.
Yeah.
On to the St Kilda GWS game. St Kilda, obviously in the middle of the season, we weren't much of a fan of how they were playing. They weren't winning many games. They're pretty inconsistent, but like Carlton and a lot of other teams, they found momentum at the end of the season, and now they are where they are now. They do deserve a finals opportunity, after we've said a couple of times that throughout the year that they probably don't, but they thoroughly do deserve some recognition with Ross Lyon at the helm there. GWS, a bit of a shock for everyone with Adam Kingsley there. We're expecting them to be bottom four, but with the group that Adam Kingsley had, he managed to get them into the top 8, which I think does surprise you as well, Elijah.
I guess thinking back to preseason, yes, but considering how well they've been playing, they definitely deserve it, no doubt. And they're right in this one. This one's anyone's game. MCG, Saturday Arvo. You wouldn't want to miss it, unless you had to. Would you like me to start?
Yeah.
Players, all right. So, start with our St Kilda. We'll highlight Dan Butler.
Grand final winner as well.
Yes, yeah. He's played, from what I've seen in the last few weeks. he's played really good football. Just across the
Mm,
board, ever since that Hawks game that I saw. It's great football. A great run of the kick ball,
mm-hmm,
great efficiency, all that stuff. I'm interested to see the kind of impact he would have in this Giants game.
mm,
I guess a bit of a tougher opponents, and the likes of that. But I reckon if he plays well, I think he'll run away with it. If
mm-hmm,
he's kind of pushed to the side, doesn't get really much impact or much of the ball, I think St. Kilda's chance of winning this one dwindle a bit,
mm-hmm,
unless it's a blowout. But that's kind of my thoughts on that.
mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So highlighting
And
him,
Giants.
yeah. So the Giants, there's a lot to choose from. But I've got Tom Green coming back to
Mm,
those star mids. So not Toby, Tom, different
mm-hmm,
greens. But yeah, so his impact in the middle of the ground, similar to Pendlebury, kind of. Just the run of the ball he gets and how he uses it will be good to see. He's averaging 32 touches this year. So,
mm-hmm,
I dare say an All Australian snub.
mm,
I dare say he deserved that spot just as much as anyone. But I reckon I'm highlighting him for this game. See the bit of run he
mm-hmm.
can get, and if he can get a lot of the ball and use it well, efficiently, I reckon Giants propel themselves through this one into the next week.
Mm. Interesting. I've got a bit of a different perspective for the Saints for you, Elijah.
Okay,
If Max King doesn't kick 3 to 5 goals, the Saints do not win this game whatsoever.
it's
Max
harsh.
King, Max King needs to be huge in this game. He needs to use every ounce of his strength that he can muster and kick 3 to 5 goals. If he can't do that, the Saints can't win. And I'm putting a huge responsibility on his shoulders there.
Mm,
Um, for the Giants, I've got what's his name? I've got Jesse Hogan. Two key forwards. Jesse Hogan against Cal Milwaukee. When the Giants versus Saints, Jesse Hogan was moved to the side quite easily. And for a guy who's the number one draft pick of 2015, I'd like to see a bit better from him. He is known. He got drafted um, for his aerobic capacity, and if he can run Wilkie to the ground, then perhaps he could do a lot in this game. But if he's pushed to the side, it makes things a lot more difficult. But like I said, if you can't stop Toby Green, you most likely cannot stop the Giants. It's a 23-man squad now, with emergencies, of course, but it's a team effort. But there's always standout players, and Jesse Hogan is my one who needs to step up to the stage and take control of the orchestra.
yeah, I mean he's definitely been doing it the last few weeks. Jesse Hogan.
Mm,
The
100%.
Max King call's interesting though,
Mm,
definitely because as far as I'm aware, they pretty much got through their strong patch without him with much impact.
I
So
still do think he needs a big game for them to solidify a dub.
fair enough. All right, and on to the
And
last gun.
mhm,
Yep. So the last one, Saturday night, Lions, Power, Gabba. It's all happening.
mm.
Um, who you got to?
Um, Brisbane, I've got. See, I would say Lachie Neale because he always destroys Port Adelaide, and as a South Australian man, pretty sure you saw the news this week how he was frustrated that Adelaide was the only team that sort of looked at him. Um, I'm gonna push him to the side, and I'm gonna say Connor McKenna, a guy coming back to the AFL system. let's see how he goes in a final. He did play for Essendon in a couple finals, but now he's at the Bombers. Not at the Lions. Sorry, not the Bombers. Same team. He's at the Lions. Let's see if he can bring the same impact he did off the halfback flank as he did at the Bombers. You got Key Coleman there as well, and Daniel Rich, who's going to be retiring at the end of the season. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not he plays in that game as well. But I'm interested to see what Connor McKenna can do in this game. And from Port Adelaide, you look at people like Butters or Rosie. Well, I look at the likes of Charlie Dixon, if he's in. If Charlie Dixon is in, he needs to step up as that key forward, as he's done in the past, but he's a bit inconsistent with his form. And from what I saw in the past in September, he's pretty consistent in September. So I'd like to see him snag a few. But if Charlie Dixon isn't in, my player to look out for is Ryan Burton and his dash off halfback as well. He's relating the team's preparation to Oppenheimer. They've been watching Oppenheimer and relating to Oppenheimer. And they're planning a big explosion at the Gabba and really ruining the party. Like, no, I won't say that joke, but yeah, let's see what Ryan Burton and Oppenheimer can do for Port Adelaide.
They got the power to win, the power to rule, and the power to bring down the Brisbane Lions. That they don't, but anyway. So, all right, cool, good picks. So for Port Adelaide, Jason Horne-Francis, great young player. I think he finished third in the AFLPA's voting thinger for best young players. He's living up to that. I dare say he's closer to Dacos than I think we care to admit, especially as Victorians. But he's playing great. I like to see him get more of the football, if anything. I think his impact in this game definitely could set a few ripples out, and could do a lot of damage. So yeah, I could say more damage than say if Butters or Rosie or Dan Houston or whatever gets the ball. I think he's one of the most dangerous players in the field.
Fair enough.
So that's something to look out for, I reckon. On the other side of the fence, is Daniel Rich playing? Not sure.
No. I don't reckon he will.
Okay, well, if he's playing, Daniel Rich. But otherwise, let me just look at the list they have from last week. So I feel like half the guys I want to say, they're not even going to be playing. No. Okay. All right then. Let's go with Cam Rayner. It's another younger bloke. Down forward, it's a similar story with Brisbane nearly every single year, but the younger guys, the forward line's a very unique bunch. We'll say it this way, and I think I'd like to see Cam Rayner put on a bit of a show. Every time he has, they won. So I know Brisbane's expected to win this one because it's a home game, but I reckon I'd like to see Cam Rayner kind of take center stage here and put his name on it.
That's fair enough. You can't win games unless you kick goals, and
well, I mean,
or behinds. And if Cam Rayner kicks a couple goals, then they may win.
I mean, I don't know if he's kicked a bag this year. Don't know if he's kicked a bag this year or not, but I reckon he's due for one.
I agree with that. I forgot Cam Rayner even existed until you told me about him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what all teams can provide for September. Um, Good luck to every team that's in the top eight, and very unfortunate to see the other 10 teams not being able to um, play in September. But we'll have to wait until 2024 for those 10 teams. But good luck to every team that's in the final. Now, on to what made us laugh throughout the week.
Yeah,
Um, Unless you want to do best player of the week.
I reckon
Best player of the week.
we'll circle back to it. Let's see if I knew.
Circle back to it.
Yeah.
Funny moments was the Sunday Footy Show. What a fantastic show that is! It's the AFL equivalent to the ESPN basketball show with Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley, Jet
Um,
Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson.
that
And
one.
be on TNT.
They always poke fun at each other, especially Tony Jones. Butters won an MG car, $100,000 MG car, and called Tony Jones chompers. And Tony Jones was quite offended by such a respectful young fella calling him that. And then on the deep dive, they stated that if they can raise $10,000 or something like that, they're going to go through the archive of every single Tony Jones clip that has made us laugh throughout his history as a reporter,
At his
and
expense.
at his expense. I feel like Tony Jones is a bit soft and can't really take a joke, especially when he's scoffing down KFC the way he did a couple of weeks ago. So, so that's
Yeah.
so that's what made me laugh this week.
Sure.
Tony Jones is quite the laughing bag, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of funny moments on grand final week because I feel like there's going to be a guy who does a torpedo and hits someone's head in the longest kick challenge. So
That's a bit cold too. But yeah. I haven't really got anything. I guess my funny segment's called the player of the week segment with no games on.
we'll get to that at the end. Elijah's being a very cheeky fellow, and I apologize in advance to all you
No,
viewers.
what do you mean apologize in advance? We'll explain it. We'll explain it.
Now on to what made us frustrated or angry. And I'd like to state that even though I understand the game is a cutthroat industry, you have to be good to play in it. I feel quite disappointed, and I have a lot of sympathy for players getting delisted, e.g., Oscar Riccardi, who only spent 1 year at the club and gets delisted. I understand if you're not good enough, it's fair enough, but I'd like to witness a player have at least 1 to 3 opportunities to play in a game of football before actually being delisted, just to see if they actually have what it takes. Because VFL and AFL are two completely different standards, and I feel like if you don't get that AFL experience and you don't show what you're actually capable of and what you got drafted to do, then there's no really real point in drafting that player. I feel.
That's fair call, I reckon. Yeah.
Nothing really made you angry.
I guess one thing did.
Mm.
Didn't know AFLW started back this week. They just
Yeah.
passed. That's not looking to be good though. It was just I think I forget what it was. I think it might have been 7 AFL, but comparing AFLW to AFL, I know it's just to kind of familiarize, like, they have a graphic up, which is like, this Richmond player, the FLW side compared with like Dustin Martin's stats and whatnot. Um, which I get is trying to relate, like, this is the equivalent of the such and such player with the FLW equivalents,
Mhm.
yada yada. But I think the way it came off was just really didn't rub off the right way with a lot of
Fair enough.
people. It was kind of like saying, yeah, but these are like the same people, like the same skill, the same thing. Where it's like comparing Ronaldo to Timmy, 12-year-old Timmy, who's just started playing soccer for Box Hill. His local Box Hill team. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, put like Timmy, yeah, sure, Timmy could kick 3 goals every game, no problem, awesome. But he's not Ronaldo, and I think the different
Mm,
leagues they shouldn't be compared in that kind of way. I think it just pushes
that's fair
everything.
enough.
I wouldn't say pushes everything down, but it kind of decentralizes this whole like pro women's sports thing, which we've just built up with the Matildas thing,
Mm,
and now this whole thing's kind of gone. Oh, nah, they're not their own thing anymore. They're the same as the men. It's like, thought we were all cool and fun and dandy, but a bit frustrating to see.
by the way, we are all for gender equality.
Of course,
Um,
of course. It was
yeah,
just the way it came off. It just seemed really
yeah,
icky.
yeah, that's fair enough. I did say that, and I was like, that's interesting.
What are they?
Um,
What are they cooking? I want some of that.
On to your
All
player
right,
of the week.
player of the week. Sorry to kind of expand this. Look at the name of player of the week, player of the round, whatever. A round or a week just happened, right? If they're a player, it counts. Um, Now, who did you have as your
Um,
player? Not necessarily AFL, right? Because no games
mm,
happened unless you go AFLW, which is still the same realm. It's a
mm,
player, right?
mm.
We're stretching the definition here. Yeah.
I originally had the new signing for Richmond, but I'm gonna have to come back. You explain yours, and then I'll
Okay.
state mine.
So I've kind of got a more serious answer and one kind of more jocular answer. Not that the serious one's any good, but the serious answer is Messi. I think yeah, he won the US League with Miami, I think it was,
Mm-hmm. Into Miami.
into Miami, and yeah, all the stuff from that, and with the previous captain and whatever else, yeah, it was nice and sweet and wholesome. Thank you, Messi.
Ooh, my player of the week is my younger brother Hudson Hanlon, who started basketball. And after
Yeah,
shooting 2 scores at the basketball hoop, he did a pose and went like this, thinking he's a supermodel. So that's my player of the week because
what a Chad.
he's trying to rizz up the ladies. So he's got more rizz than me, and I'm the one with the girlfriend. So
Short for
um,
charisma for those who are unaware or unacquainted.
and
Uh,
yeah, but that's my player of the week.
cool. My silly one is Bedford's lawyers. They're the only ones working this week. Uh,
It's lawyers.
but if you don't know, the Giants player Bedford's is they're
Oh.
appealing his 1 week suspension. They're trying to cut that down. So his lawyers, they go into work this
Mm,
week. Yay! No,
oh my days. My serious one is going to be um LeBron. No, not LeBron James.
LeBron.
Shaquille O'Neal releasing a rap song. Um, he knows how to spit rhymes.
Is it any good?
Actually, it was actually really good. better than Doja Cat's new Devil music video.
Yeah. Well, I've got to change the segment name, but let's check that out. So we have Messi, Hudson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Bedford's lawyers. That's a great mix of people to have in one room.
Yeah. Very interesting mix. Final messages. I've only got one final message for you, Elijah. And
Okay.
should every player who participates in the AFL season get a premiership medal at the end of the season, like basketball? Yes or no?
It's not a participation award, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you played well in the VFL doesn't mean you deserve the Premiership medal. It's unfortunate. A lot of players who do arguably deserve it miss out, but that's just the way the ball rolls. And I think you need to be in the right form without injury, unfortunately, at the right time. That's end of September. And I just think, you need to be in that side to get the medal.
That's fair enough.
Unless
That's
you're
fair
Luke
enough.
Beveridge and Bob Murphy. Sorry, I'm not making any changes to that. It's not a participation award. It's
Bob Murphy gave his medal back to Luke Beveridge as well.
yeah. Oh, there you go. But I don't see it as a participation award. It's you need to be there to have it.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, again, finals is in the air and it's making everyone excited. And
Don't say that ever
I
again.
can't.
Don't. No.
And we are all very excited to see what happens this September because there's only one day in September that we want to remember, and that is episode 1 of the final series, but episode whatever it is for the Premiership Podcast.
24 or 25? I think it's 25.
Something like that. For
I'm
our
not checking.
Twitter, follow our Twitter, YouTube, click the notification bell because if you don't click that notification bell, the monster will come out at 3 a.m. and haunt your dreams. That is Jakob and Elijah from the Premiership Podcast. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll see you at your front door later.